Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Horde of Cold Peeps. We are at 19 duplicates on cycle 52, and we are pressing forward here. I think we're in a little bit better shape than we were last time. But because I forgot this last time, I'm going to make sure that I do it now. Here's the rules for the run. I have to be playing on the Frosty DLC. We need to be playing, or rather going for 100% achievements, and we need to take every single duplicate until we are at 100. And the experiment here is to see if the Frosty DLC can support 100 duplicates, and what kind of what the game feels like that. So that's what we're up to. In the meantime, or rather between videos, just spent a couple cycles getting more Alveo Vera planted so that we could deal with this carbon dioxide a little bit better and get a little bit better oxygen production. Our saturation is okay. It's not as bad as it was last time, but it's still not great. So we still have a little bit of work to do. But I think with all of the excess carbon dioxide that we have drawn up, we can probably keep these Alveo Vera plants going for a little while, and I do think the situation is going to get a lot better. You can see that we have way more Alveo Vera planted than we do actual need to delete carbon dioxide right now. So that'll be one of the setups that we take on pretty early here. So we'll probably need to refilter all of our gases and create a separate tank specifically for carbon dioxide. Actually, if I just blow out whatever's in here, then I think we'll be fine. Yeah, we'll just do that. The other thing is I've been getting a lot of comments about these incubators, and to automate them. And I did not do this in the Ultra Supreme Max difficulty run because it was actually less efficient than me managing it manually. But I think this makes sense for a smaller number of incubators. And I'm not as worried about power production and that kind of stuff as I was in the other run. So I do think the automation makes a lot of sense here. So we're going to get something like that done. But we need to take a duplicate, which is why I have the game paused right now. So let's choose a duplicate. I think we made a rule that we need to always take a Bubbles whenever Bubbles is on offer. I think Bubbles is also the best duplicate here. Maybe Ren. But yeah, let's go ahead and take Bubbles. Welcome to the colony. She flops in there. Alright, Bubbles, we don't really have a specialization for you, so I guess you'll just be grabbing whatever's available. We will need to beef up our ranching in this video as well, but let's get on top of this automation for the incubators. So the idea that we can do here is we can leave them all plugged into power, but they will be only managed by their timer sensors that we hook up, and we can just hook up one to each. We can make this simple. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but let's just do it the simple way. And the way you can do this is just to stagger each of them in terms of like when their on period is, and try to get their on period to line up with one another, but be staggered enough so that duplicates can run in here, give them the hugs that they need, and then take off. Now that we have a done Bammoth? I don't know, whatever. A little baby version of this. Let's make sure to turn it into meat. There we go. So we're just going to set up some timer sensors. We will configure that in just a bit. We'll give our duplicants some time to get that up. The other thing I'm going to be doing is making sure that we have our carbon dioxide being used on this instead of just sitting in our gas reservoir. So what I'm going to do, I don't like the depth that we have this right now, so I'm just going to rebuild a little part of this. In the middle is where I'm going to be putting all the ice. And I'm going to connect it up to this room that's up here. And we will just need to modify this room just a little bit. And this room will be a little bit easier to work with because, whoops, we won't have the same problem of a room being built right on top of it. So we are going to just make this pit a little bit deeper so that we can have the carbon dioxide sitting in there a little bit more. And then we'll put some sensors on some vents to make sure that this room is actually filled with carbon dioxide. If it's not, we will ask for more. So I'm just going to put something like, I don't know, here. And just to make sure that this is filled with carbon dioxide. So we will put a vent right next to it on each of them. And this will be connected up to the output of all of our like junk gases that we have right now. we'll do this and hook it up like so. We just need an automation wire, and we should be good. There. So now, if there's not carbon dioxide here, we will go ahead and drop more in. So I actually need to put this on a NOT gate now that I'm thinking about it. Let's do... Can I build this behind plants? I've never actually tried to. But I think we can. We should be fine, right? It's a NOT gate. There we go. So if it's ever not carbon dioxide here, I want the vent to be open, and the vent is going to be containing a bunch of junk gases, but it'll mostly be carbon dioxide. We can see the types that it's been drawing up here. Oxygen, polluted oxygen, and carbon dioxide. So if it's polluted oxygen, then whatever. I'll want to use that anyway. So yeah, I think we're just going to do something like this, and then just build some ladders so our duplicants can get up and down. And then for the rooms that actually already have stuff in them, we can just put some doors so that our duplicants can get down there. So there, something like that, pretty straightforward for our Alveo Veras. I don't know how long this setup is going to last because I don't want to continuously rely on it, but it is still quite a cheap setup, all things considered. So I like it for the stage of the game. I like it because I have a lot of excess dupe labor right now. So I think this is a good place to be with this setup. The other thing that we really need to get on top of is moving all of our heat producers out of the center of the base. We do need to get our ranches up, but I think moving our heat producers is a little bit bigger deal right now. So our plan, well, the reason I'm worried about this is because if we need the center to be kind of cold to keep all of our ranches running, then I think what we can do is move all of our heat producers over to a separate part of the base. So we are hitting the right wall now, so we have dug all the way over there by now. And we can kind of shove a bunch of duplicants over here that are just going to be for industrial needs. So like they can just live in their own little like mini colony. I think I'm going to get on top of this a little bit quicker than I did last time. But I'm just going to start isolating dupes into small little areas that they effectively just live and work in, and that's all they do. So that can be duplicants that like generate power for us and run our rock crusher and cook stuff. So anything that we can kind of put in the corner that generates heat, that would be really nice to have. Let's take a look at this automation again. So what I'm going to want to do is the green duration we need to keep on for a certain amount of seconds, and then we also need to keep it off for a certain amount of seconds to make sure that it has enough time for the buff to wear off. I think the buff lasts a full cycle, and if I remember right, a cycle is 300 seconds? Let me check. So if we convert it to this, no, cycle's 600. So yeah, we can check by doing this. So I guess we could just leave it on cycles. We'll know that by the end of this red duration, it should have worn off. We might just need to tweak this a little bit. Then the way we can get this done is we can at least make sure that the each of these all are kind of offset a bit. So something like this, and we can use the reset to make sure that we offset them all by about, I don't know, 20-25 seconds or something like that. At least enough for a duplicant to finish on one and then start on another. So maybe 10 seconds is probably a little bit better timing, but we'll figure out how that all works. And once that's up and running, we can talk about it. So let's give my duplicants some time to build all this stuff out. When everything is up and running, we'll talk about shifting everybody over into the other side. And we'll kind of build that out and talk about how we're going to manage that colony separately. Okay, new duplicant time. Let's see who we got. Man, May and Meep are both looking pretty good. I think Meep for sure. Not the greatest upsides, honestly. Very good downside, because I really don't care if you can't do medicine, because that's one of the most worthless skills. Operating, researching, farming. Yep, we like Meep. Welcome, Meep. Alright. I still got a little bit of time before this is going to reset. It did reset once, but the timing was a little bit too tight, so maybe we'll try to tune it up the next time it comes around. We're also reserving some space for all the duplicants that are going to live over in the little warm area. It's not quite ready yet, so I think we will do that in just a bit. In the meantime, just going to be waiting for them to get that done. Alright, these timer sensors are about to wake up, which ought to advertise these as open errands. And the ideal thing is I don't need to touch these, so duplicants should come up here. It's being advertised, I think, 8 priority. So they should come up here in time and hug them, but it looks like they're too far away right now, and it's not quite enough green time. So they're going to get the last 2, I think, maybe just barely. I have these offset by about 15 seconds, but it looks like I need to widen the window just a little bit to give them enough time to come down here and actually get started. Yeah, all of them are too late, so we have them traveling from too far away, but I think we're going to wind up moving all of these into this new area anyway. So what I could do for the meantime is just reset the timers and let them run for just a bit. As soon as a duplicant gets up here, we can start resetting the other ones. There we go. Oh, he's obviously... he's like, oh, I heard you want to do this, and he just grabs ice and leaves. So, yeah, we'll get this corrected. I think we'll have this over in another area. Let me reset this again. There we go. Now that we have this about 15 seconds apart, or whatever it's going to be, I think we can start up the other one about now. And then once we have another 15 seconds, we can start the other one. These can be a little finicky, and this is the reason why I did not want to do this in the Ultra Supreme Max difficulty challenge, is because it leaves a lot of uptime and it spends a lot of power from duplicants waiting to arrive at this errand. This is fine if you have a lot of other things going on, which we do in this colony, but if this is the only thing you have to pay attention to, it's much better to micro it manually. So for right now, I'm just going to open up the time quite a bit, and we're going to be wasting quite a bit of power, but this is going to be basically changed quite a bit in the new setup, because these produce a lot of heat, and I'm going to want to tuck them over in the corner here. So we'll get them moved, and we'll get this a little bit more refined. Let's take a look at an achievement that we got. There we go. Have at least 20 duplicants living in the colony. Got that one. The other concern that I have, by the way, is I don't know if one of these achievements is possible on this map. So one of the achievements is Critter Whisperer, and one of the things you have to tame is a Shove-Vole. Shove-Voles typically will spawn in the surface biome, but only in the regolith surface biome. So unless there's Shove-Voles out here, that achievement might not be possible, because I think this is the same surface as the spaced out version that we just played, that basically rains down these bonbon trees. There's no Shove-Voles here from what I can tell, so unless there's a random biome that has Shove-Voles in them, this achievement might not be possible. So we will say we're doing all the achievements that are actually possible for us to do on this map. And unfortunately, if there's no Shove-Voles, we can't get to it. But there should be everything else. Maybe not a gassy moo? I think you might have to get that from another planet, but I don't know for sure. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what we can get, and we'll see what all spawns here. But I definitely have a concern about that now that we are hitting the top. Yeah, so still waiting for them to build this out. Once they're done, we will place all the buildings and get some duplicants assigned. Okay, time for another duplicant. 2 anemic duplicants. Well, that kind of eliminates both of them. Hello, Mima. There we go. I think we're just about there on the little mini colony expansion, so what we're going to do is build this out in a way that our duplicants will need to just live and work and do everything inside here without having to go anywhere else. This is going to take a little bit to get set up, but I think overall it's going to be worth it, because it'll be a lot more efficient for them to be doing a lot of the tasks that we're doing here, but without making a whole bunch of heat in the center of the base. So we're going to tuck them over to the corner here. The first thing I'm going to do is line the whole thing with these insulated tiles. So just something like this, so that the heat is basically just going to be sitting in this one area. If there's any abyssalite, I'm going to preserve it, because the abyssalite is just the best insulator there is. So obviously you don't want to close it entirely off, but I want to limit this down to basically one entrance and exit. This entrance and exit is going to be shared by both sides. So we're going to have just a little spot that looks about, I don't know, like this. And this spot is going to be so that we can exchange resources between the two sides. The duplicants that live in here will obviously need supplies, and the duplicants that are on the outside will need some of the products that these guys are making. So like refined metal or food or something like that. So this is going to be where we share the resources for right now. Anything that's shared, I'll just have duplicants kind of set it here, and then the duplicants can distribute it as we need to. We will also set up shipping very soon, so we will get this all automated, but for right now we're just going to do it by hand so we can get everything in the right place. So we're going to have a little area for them to exchange supplies, And then I think we're just going to have a ladder that goes up the side like this. Not going to be the most efficient movement method for them when they're inside here, but it's also not terrible. Considering they're just going to be stuck in this one little area, there's not going to be a whole lot for them to do. The things I'm going to want to move in here are going to be our power generators, our rock crushers, our food, our eggs, all that kind of fun stuff. So we're going to be doing that. And I will probably just do this over the course of the next little segment, so I'll have a little montage put together of getting this all built up, and then we'll talk about it when it's done. We disrupt this montage to bring you the following duplicate. Well, Devon's pretty good. Yeah, I think we're taking Devon. Welcome, Devon, and back to our regularly scheduled programming. Apologies for another duplicate print disruption. Let's see who we got here. Nicola's looking pretty good. Don't like the flatulent. Extra calories, we don't really need that much anymore, and gourmet is not the best green skill. Although medicine's also not the best green skill either. I think we'll take Nicola. Alright, back to it. Okay, here's our little mini colony that we're going to have certain duplicants live in to keep them as productive as possible and minimizing their travel time. So both live and work. So we need to pick who's actually going to be living in here. And I did have enough space for about 7. This will eventually grow over time. I'm guessing this pod will get a lot bigger as we have more and more needs and for duplicants to just be stuck in one little area. So let's figure out who we're going to bring in here, and then I'll start setting up the doors so that they can manage who can get in and out of here. Whoops, wrong screen. We first need to bring in our cooks, so I think one of them definitely needs to be Jean. He's also a decorator. I don't know how much that really matters. So Jean, I'm just going to mark them with hats if they're going to be working in there. So anybody with a hat lives in the colony. That's the rule for right now. Ada is also a cook, so we're going to need at least a couple of those, because they're going to be cooking food for the entire colony. And that'll be basically all that they do. We do need someone for ranching, so I'll take Bonnie, sure. How about Bubbles? We need an operator. So who is our operator specialist? Yeah. I still don't know how to say this name. Ashcan, I don't know. Whatever. Anybody else we should specifically be looking for? Probably Stinky, because I'm going to move the research in here as well, even though it's not quite in there yet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 2 more. And I think we might just take 2 more generic ones. Sure. Ruby? No, Ruby's good at building. We probably want her outside. Rowan's not really all that great. He's going to be more of a farmer. Let's see. I guess Bubbles can go in. Sure. Bubbles with the plumbing hat. And who else? Devon, we just printed. Probably don't want him because he's specializing in digging. That's farming. Meep, maybe? Yeah, let's take Meep. Okay, so we have our 7. So now that they all have hats that denote them, we can go to the doors and say which duplicants are not allowed to leave this area. So I'm just going to select everybody. Whoops. Everybody that has a hat on is going to be selected for this. That's not a hat, that's Freya's hair. Let's see. So just going to do this for them all really quickly. Who else are we missing? Oh, do some of them not have their hats on yet? Is that what's going on here? Because we only have, what, 4? Yeah, let me let this run for a little bit. Let's see if they put their hats on. For the other door, this is going to be... The default is going to be that nobody can pass through the other way except for the special duplicants. So I just need to mark those up as well, that they can go both ways. Bonnie, there you are. I think you just need to get your hat on. Ashcan, Ada, John, that's 5. 6. All right, there's still one more missing from this list, so we'll let it run for just a little bit. As for sharing resources between the two sides, we're going to need to put down some sort of building to attract my duplicants there. I was researching some shipping options, and one of them is the dispenser. Did we ever get that done? No, it is on the way right now. So we need the dispensers to be finished in their research. I guess I will move, or rather keep the researching outside for the time being. And we will put up a utility for the ice liquefier, which we got rid of a little bit earlier. And then I will eventually move it in there once we get that research done. But that's kind of the idea. All those duplicants that are set up to do stuff like that are just going to stay inside here once they come in for the first time and not be allowed to leave. Let me check to see who else was supposed to be in here that has not had their hat on. Who are we missing? I know we're missing someone because we only have 6. Okay, here we go. Here's me. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's get the ones set that are not supposed to be able to leave. So here we go. Bonnie's 1, Bubbles is 1, Meep's 1. I think that's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So those 7 effectively live here now, and will need their beds and mess tables and all that stuff reassigned. As for cooking stuff, we just need to do the exact same thing we were doing before, and the 2 cooks should really prioritize this because that's one of the most important things that's here. Pemmican, if we do get any tallow, that'll be on the menu as well. And for now, we're just going to need to manually hand supplies back and forth. So I will need to manage that myself, but we do need to finish up the research for it before that can happen. The other thing is starting to get the other area prepped. So I do want to get some ranches up for both Flox and for the Bammoths, but the issue here is, well, not the issue, something that I want to try is people in the comments have been telling me that the critters that eat the finished products of these plants, it seems to be a little bit more efficient than having them eat just the raw plant itself. I'm going to test that out. So what I think I'm going to do is this can just all be a Bammoth ranch, and we can leave the pike apples planted here in the spaces that we're not using for buildings. So I can dig some of this stuff up. I just planted this because we need a little bit of help on our food. And then we can switch that for the Flox chamber as well. The Flox can just be in their own area, and we can grow the plume squash plants there. So we're going to try that, and we're just going to try distributing them to like actually finished food and see if that's more efficient. People have been saying that it is, and we should probably check it out to see if that's true. So I'll get those built out. We've built ranches and stuff like that quite a bit in the past. I realize not very much in this run, but I'll go over it once it's all put together. There'll be another duplicate print between them more than likely anyway, so yeah, we'll go from there. Okay, duplicate number 25. That'll put us a quarter of the way to our goal. Let's see, can't research. Anemic, yeah, not very interested in Quinn. Vera's pretty good. Cooking, researching, and tidying. I actually think Turner's the better one here. Yeah, because not being good at art, oh well, most duplicants aren't anyway. Ranching, tidying, operating, that's a really good skill set. Alright, Turner. Get in here. Cool. Alright, our ranches are still in progress. The other thing that I need with these ranches that it's making me a little bit nervous that we're going to have to definitely set up some more infrastructure for is ethanol. You need ethanol in order to grow these plume squashes. And it does take a decent amount. There is some natural ethanol out on the map. So there's pools of it like here, which I'll probably tap into. And we'll have to just survive off the natural ethanol for a little while. We haven't talked about the seals in this surface yet. We probably will in a future video, but we're going to set something up that's pretty particular out here to start ranching this, because we did a lot of experimentation with the meteors that fall. They basically fall down and they plant these trees. And if the seals can drink from the trees, they will make ethanol for you, but it's kind of slow, and it can take a long time to get everything put together. Having some problems getting supplies here, by the way. We need dirt and a bunch of other stuff brought over to this location because we don't have our research done yet, but yeah. So Ethanol is definitely going to be a concern. By the way, this new automated setup is working, and since we have duplicants that are kind of always in the area, that makes it really easy to automate this. If they're further away, it makes it a lot more difficult, but we really need to get that research finished, and I don't think I actually have a researcher out here right now. So let me just assign some skills and see if anybody is close enough to getting it. I think we only have one person that's on researching as well. So we might just need to let Stinky get out here and finish that up instead of waiting for this to finish. So let's do that. Stinky, you're now allowed to leave. Thank you. The other thing is I really need to start bringing supplies for oxygen here because we're having a hard time getting everything moved there. Duplicants are just taking a while to do it, but I'm spending a lot of this time paused just because there's so much going on and so much that I have to control manually, but we're going to get there. We'll finish this up. We'll get all the ethanol and infrastructure for it, and we'll start the ranching. All right. At least with not having our shipping up, this is going to be the easiest way for the two sides to share resources. So I'm just going to set everything for sweep on this, and note that there are new categories that have been created. So if I want to sweep everything, I need to make sure to mark it. And then everything I need to sweep back and forth, whether it's like done food, or whether it's food ingredients, or whatever, I need to make sure to mark it for sweep. This is obviously not going to work out in the long term. So another thing we could do for very specific things that'll be a little bit harder to get access to is we could throw down a few bins and like ask for sleep week grain or something like that, because it's going to be coming from all different sections of the map. This is totally a temporary solution. This is not something I'm going to use for very long. This is just to get stuff out of the way and just to get duplicants working a little bit more efficiently. Ultimately, we will need a shipping setup, which we will take care of in the next video. We're still getting all of our piping and everything up for this one. And note that I'm not going to be keeping the critter inside the same terrarium of the food that they eat. I'm going to swap them so that they can only eat the ingredients, and we will manage it for the time being, but the shipping will take care of all that stuff when it's time to get that up. So almost ready with that, and when that's ready, we'll start putting critters in there. Okay, time for another duplicant. Can't cook or dig. All of three of them can't cook. That's interesting. I guess Camille? Camille looks okay. Yeah, let's take Camille. I think that'll be good. Alright, we are just about there. Let's start populating these rooms with critters. So, if you take a look at the two critters we're going to start ranching, if you go into their info, you can see how many spaces they need in order to be happy. Basically 16, and our stables are at their maximum of 96. So we can store 6 Bammoths, and the the Flox are 12 per tile, so we can store 8. So I have them both marked up here. This is going to be the Bammoth area, this is going to be the Flox area. One thing I want to do, though, is get rid of all of our natural ranching spots, because I don't want my duplicants to be traveling that far to take care of these guys anymore. So I'm just going to grab all of the ones that we were previously ranching, delete the buildings that were currently in there, and that should be enough for one of our stables. I think we're ranching 6 of them right now. No, we're actually ranching 7. Interesting. Okay, so I will start with those 6. The plumbing will come up here in just a minute to get all that done. So they're just going to need to move that in there. Their food for the time being I'm just going to have to manage manually, but I've been hinting at this quite a bit, that we're going to need our shipping system up to really make this effective. And we are not quite at the point where we're ready to do that yet. We need a lot more refined metal, so I have them working on this inside here. We do have a couple duplicants that are capable of doing it right now, but we need to spend quite a while getting all of that shipping infrastructure up. We'll probably be respecking some duplicants, but that's probably going to be a story for a different day. So for now, I think we're going to call this video good and call it here. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back ideally tomorrow with the next part, so stay tuned and I'll see you then.